Hello everybody, and welcome back to Certifact Collectibles. This is another episode of First Appearance of the Week. This is Wednesday, October 11th, 2023. We'll be giving you all the first appearance in your comic shops today. Now this week we have a pretty big video for you guys. This is the biggest one we've had in quite a while. I think we have 17 titles in all to go through. We have 9 first appearances, 8 honorable mentions. Definitely some books in there worth picking up for your collection. So let's go ahead and get started for the first appearance of the week, week ending October 13th, 2023. First up from DC Comics, Batman and Robin number 2. This features the first full appearance of Shush, a female villain reminiscent of Hush. Now, you Batman collectors out there know the importance of Hush. That storyline, that story arc was hugely popular with fans, hugely collectible. So that's what DC is trying to capture here with this new Shush character. This is a female villain reminiscent of Hush. You know, we really don't know how popular this particular Shush character is going to be. It sounds like they're just trying to capitalize on the popularity of Hush. This one here is definitely going to be a little bit more speculative if you choose to pick it up, because you're really speculating on DC doing something important with this character going forward and making this character popular and collectible in the future. So this one here is going to be a little bit more speculative. This is the first appearance of this new villain, this new Shush villain. So this one here may be good for a spec bet for the cover price for $3 or $4. You know, if this does go somewhere, you're sitting on a winner. So pick this one here for a spec if you can. Otherwise, put it in your B-list and take a look at it later on. Next up from DC Comics, Batman City of Madness number 1. This features the first appearance of the Batman Below. Now this is a 3-issue limited series described as a story of cosmic horror. DC Comics has been doing a lot of these limited series for the Batman franchise. You know, the Batman franchise is probably one of DC's strongest and most heavily collected franchises, so they're definitely leaning into that with all these small 3- and 4-issue limited series they're doing. So the characters they're introducing into these small limited series, you know, they really have to bring these characters across other storylines or the story arcs into other title series to make these characters important in the future. You know, if these characters just live throughout their existence in these particular limited series, they might not be all that important going forward. It really all depends on how popular they are with fans, how well they resonate with collectors. So this one here is, of course, also going to be a little bit more speculative if you choose to pick it up. But you know, the Batman franchise, like I just mentioned a moment ago, it is one of the most heavily collected and the most popular franchises from DC Comics, and they are introducing a new character into this particular series here, and this is the first appearance of this Batman Below, so this is a new Batman character. So this one here may be worth picking up for a spec. So grab this one here if you can for a spec. If you can't, though, put it on your B-list and take a look at it later on. Next up from DC Comics, Green Lantern number 4. This features the first appearance of the Son of Sinestro, an enemy of the Super Sons. Now, the Green Lantern title series is not necessarily DC's strongest or most heavily collected title series. They are introducing the Son of Sinestro into this particular issue, so that may be a big deal. You know, Sinestro is the biggest villain in the Green Lantern universe, so the fact that they're introducing the Son of Sinestro in here, this may be worth picking up. Apparently, they're setting him up to be the enemy of the Super Sons. So going forward, that may be important. It really depends on what DC does with this character. You know, like I just mentioned a moment ago, Sinestro is the pinnacle villain of the Green Lantern universe. So the fact that they're introducing the Son of Sinestro, this could be worth picking up for a spec. So grab this one here for a spec if you can. If you can't, though, put it on your B-list and take a look at it later on. Next up from DC Comics, Justice Society of America number 7. Now this features a possible first team appearance of Justice Society Dark, who are mentioned in the solicitation for issue number 8. Now this is the possible first team appearance. This is not necessarily the confirmed first team appearance. So you may want to do a little bit more research on this before you pick this one up. If this is the actual first team appearance of this Justice Society Dark, this may be worth picking up, but you know, Justice Society of America is not one of DC's stronger or more heavily collected series. And the fact that this is the first team appearance of Justice Society Dark and not necessarily the actual characters involved in the team itself, you know, we do think you have a little bit of time on this one, so put this one here on your B-list for now. Next up from DC Comics, Wesley Dodds, the Sandman number 1. This features the first appearance of a villain in possession of the Sandman's deadly gases. Now, Sandman is an incredibly popular character, heavily collected. People do love that Sandman universe, and this here is the first appearance of this villain that is in possession of the Sandman's deadly gases. This one here may be worth picking up. You know, like I said, Sandman is an incredibly popular and heavily collected series, and if they're bringing a new villain into this particular universe, this is probably one you want to own. So grab this one here for your collection if you can. Otherwise, put it in your B-list and take a look at it later on. Next up from Marvel Comics, Star Wars The Mandalorian Season 2 number 5. This features the first appearance of Morgan Elsbeth, a Night Sister. Now, we always recommend picking up the first appearance of new characters in these Marvel-published Star Wars titles. You know, Marvel Disney is still churning out a ton of media for the Star Wars franchise. And you really don't know where any of these characters they're introducing in the comics may end up. You know, if they hit the big screen or small screen, people do race back to the comics, try to find these first appearances. So you don't want to be left out. You know, for $3 or $4, you could be sitting on a huge winner here. So this is one we do think you should pick up for your collection. Go ahead and grab this one. Next up from Marvel Comics, Superior Spider-Man Returns #1. This features the first appearance of Supernova, a villain with the power of a living star. Now, we always recommend picking up the first appearance of new characters in Spider-Man titles. Spider-Man, this franchise, is the most heavily collected and the most popular with fans. Anytime they introduce a new character into the Spider-Man universe, these are books you definitely want to own. And not only that, but this here is the premiere issue of this new Superior Spider-Man Returns series. So this is one, has a lot going for it. Like I said, first appearance of new characters in Spider-Man titles are always worth picking up. Go ahead and grab this one. Next up from Marvel Comics, Venom #26. This features the first full appearance of Black Widow as Widow bonded to her symbiote. Now, Black Widow bonding with this symbiote and becoming the Black Widow Venom, this has been a huge deal. There's been a lot of buzz about this, so this is one you don't want to miss out on. This is the first full appearance of Black Widow bonding with her symbiote, so this here is the one you do want to own. Like I said, there's been a huge buzz around this particular issue, and Black Widow, people love that character, and they're definitely going to love seeing her bonded with a symbiote. So this is one you definitely want to pick up. Go ahead and grab this one. And finally from Dark Horse Comics, Space Usagi, Yokai Hunter #1. This features the first appearance of Kimi, the daughter of Usagi. Now this is one you definitely want to own. Usagi Yojimbo has a huge fan base, huge collector base, and the fact that they're introducing the daughter of Usagi in this particular issue, this is one you definitely don't want to miss out on. Just take a look at any of the issues that have first appearances in the Usagi Yojimbo universe. Those books do trade at a huge premium in the secondary market, and like I said, the fact that they're introducing Usagi's daughter into this issue, this is one you don't want to miss out on. Go ahead and grab this one. And now for the honorable mentions. From Image Comics, A Haunted Girl #1. An adopted 16-year-old Japanese American whose depression drove her to near suicide is trying to reintegrate back into her old life, but she encounters an increasingly terrifying succession of ghosts. Now, like we always mention with these small press and indie publishers, if these books get picked up an option for small screen and big screen projects, they become huge in the secondary market and people do race back and try to find these issues. And Image Comics has had a lot of their titles picked up an option in the past, and this particular story sounds like it can easily be adopted to the screen. So this here one is definitely going to be a little more speculative if you choose to pick it up, because you are specking on it being optioned and picked up to get a lot more eyes on this particular title. But in our opinion, this is great spec, so grab this one here if you can. If you can't, though, put it on your B-list and take a look at it later on. Next up from Sumerian, American Psycho #1. Now this is a 4-issue series that serves not only as a sequel, but also introduces an all-new social media obsessed psychopath. Now this one here is one we also think you should probably pick up for a spec. Sumerian has had a lot of their titles picked up an option in the past. They have a lot of attention on their titles when they come out. And this here is a 4-issue limited series based on American Psycho, and that is a hugely popular story. And the fact that this here is a sequel to American Psycho, and this actually introduces a new social media obsessed psychopath, this is one you should pick up for a spec. For $3 or $4, you could be set on a huge winner here. If it goes nowhere, you're out $3 or $4. Definitely worth the risk on this. Grab this one here if you can. If you can't, though, put it on your B-list, but definitely keep an eye on this one. Next up from Image Comics, Destiny Gate #1. At the height of the Great Depression, a man down on his luck heads home to his desperate family. But after his train veers off the rails, he enters a macabre and darkly fantastical journey into his own fragile soul. Now, like we just mentioned a moment ago, Image Comics has had a lot of their titles picked up an option in the past, and this one here sounds like it can lend itself very well to a small screen, big screen project. This here will be a little more speculative if you choose to pick it up, but like I said, these small press and indie publishers, a lot of people don't collect these issues until they become big and people actually start racing back. That's when a lot of collectors go back and try to pick these up, but you're going to be paying a lot more than the cover price. So in our opinion, this is a great spec, so grab it for a spec if you can. If you can't, though, put it on your B-list and take a look at it later on. Next up from Image Comics, Midlife #1. A man living in the shadow of his firefighter hero father who died tragically learns late in life that he is fireproof. Like we just mentioned a moment ago, Image Comics has had a lot of their titles optioned in the past for big screen and small screen projects, and this one here sounds like it lends itself very well to a streaming series or TV show or feature film. This here has the potential to become huge if it hits the screen, and a lot of people race back to try to find this book. So pick this one here up for a cover price if you can. If you can't, though, put it on your B-list and take a look at it later on. Next up from Image Comics, Knights #1. An orphan boy moves in with his secret mercenary cousin and befriends the greatest vampire who ever lived. Now this one here is going to be a little bit more speculative of the Image titles that we mentioned today, just because this deals with vampires. Vampires definitely go in and out of trend. They're not really in trend right now, so this one here is not going to be all that heavily collected. Of course, that could be catalyst in the future if a lot of people aren't collecting and buying this particular issue off the stands and vampires become very trendy again. This particular book may become an option for a small screen, big screen project, and everybody's going to race back and try to find it. And if it's not trendy now, people aren't buying it, so it could be a huge deal in the future. So this one here is definitely going to be speculative if you choose to pick it up, because you are specking on vampires becoming trendy again and this particular issue getting optioned. So like I said, it is speculative, but it may be worth the risk. $3 or $4, you could be sitting on a winner here. So grab this one here for a spec if you can. If you can't though, put in your B-list and take a look at it later on. Next up from Dark Horse Comics, Operation Sunshine #1. A group of young alienated vampires plot to steal a magical object to turn themselves back to human, but uncover a top-secret plot run by elder elite militant vampires. Once again, this is a vampire story, but Dark Horse has had a lot of their titles picked up in option in the past. The fact this here deals heavily with vampires, once again, if vampires are trending, Hollywood looks to these small press and indie publishers for ideas, and if this particular book gets optioned, once again, since vampires aren't trendy now, very few people are going to buy this particular issue. So if they become trendy in the future, there's going to be very few of these issues out there, so everybody's going to race back. This book does have the potential to skyrocket in price. That being said, though, like I said, vampires not very trendy right now, and if they don't become so in the next 20 years, this book probably won't go anywhere. So this one here, definitely speculative if you choose to pick it up. Maybe worth doing so. Like I said, there is some catalyst for this to spike in the future. So grab this one here for a spec if you can. If you can't, though, put it on your B-list and take a look at it later on. Next up from IDW, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Saturday Morning Adventures Halloween Special #1. And we put this one on the list just because any of these premiere or one-shot issues for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are typically heavily collected. And they often do include a first appearance, or some special new power, or some special costumes. These are typically worth picking up. Like I said, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, heavily collected. People do love this franchise, and it's still going strong today. So this one here, probably worth picking up for spec. Grab it if you can. If you can't, though, put it on your B-list and take a look at it later on. And finally for Marvel Comics, Spider-Man India #5. This features a debut of a new Spider-Man India suit. Now we put this one on the list just because anytime there's a first appearance of a new character, or a new costume, or new power within a Spider-Man title, these are books you typically want to pick up. Like we mentioned earlier in this video, Spider-Man, one of the most heavily collected and the most popular franchises from Marvel. So whenever there's a first appearance, or new costume change, or new power introduced, these are books you do want to own in your collection. For $3 or $4, it's worth picking these things up for the cover price. You don't want to chase them down later for a lot more money. So this one here, we do think you should pick up for your collection. Go ahead and grab this one. So there you have the 17 titles that we have for you guys this week. Very big video, but there's definitely some books in there worth picking up for your collection. So please feel free to drop some comments in the comment section below. Thumbs up if you like this video. And as always, please remember to subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Thank you for joining us here at Surfat Collectibles, and we'll see you again next time.